Welcome. This is the Driven Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Dean Scarlett. Here, we go over the realities of being an entrepreneur, all the ups and the downs, the nitty-gritty, mistakes, lessons learned, and all the successes. Remember to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. All right, let's get into it.
Today we have Aaron Bolton in the studio with us.
Hello.
Yeah. Aaron is a good friend, and he has honestly done quite a bit entrepreneurially. I think we can learn a lot from his experience. So I'm excited to dig into this conversation. Let's start, Aaron. Just tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some of your background.
Awesome. Well, first, thank you so much. It is not too warm in here. It feels great. Actually, I was wondering if you have another jacket I can borrow.
I got jackets, but you're not gonna want it.
Yeah, brag. I got jackets, man. You don't even know about my jackets. I'm Aaron Bolton. I'm a learning and development manager right now at a company called BrailleWorks, which formerly one of my clients, which we'll get into that in a bit. But I've been a learning and leadership development professional for now for a while. I was putting in my bios and all my presentations 15 plus years.
Yeah.
15 plus years. And it was maybe 5 years ago that I started doing the math on it. Like I started 15 plus. How long have I been saying 15 plus? And I was like, oh, that number's getting...
That plus carrying a lot.
Yeah, plus is carrying a lot. Like at one point it's like a sense of pride, but then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, you can slow down. A number can slow down a little. But just right at 20 years, just right under 20 years. I've come from my mother. Obviously, my mother is an entrepreneur. Yeah, I come from my mother. Yeah, my mother's an entrepreneur. I was raised in businesses. Different levels of her businesses. So the first ones I can think of is being a kid, and this really is the foundation. I thought about this a lot. Why do I have this mind? Why do I approach situations the way I approach them? And a lot of it, especially business, comes down to being a young kid. I'm talking 6 years old, 7 years old, and I'm in my mother's clothing shop, or Karina's Fashions for Men's over in Tampa. And it wasn't just, of course, in me, now looking back as a kid, I romanticize it and I'm like, oh yeah, I was running that place, but it was, when I was there, which I was there a lot, because when you're an entrepreneur, a lot of that money is going to the business.
Yep.
So no, daycare or anything like that. I was in the back of mom's shop, or I was up front. I was bagging things, or like
At 6.
yeah, 6. Yeah, 6 bagging things up, or
Was
running the
you
register.
the only child?
Me and my older brother, and my sister had just been born, or right around then. I have 3 younger sisters as well, so they also experienced growing up. But I saw the life of an entrepreneur is not easy. It is some ups and downs. I saw that as a kid with my single mother going through business, and I always looked at, okay, well, that's a single mother. Yeah, that's a single mother, but also this really difficult job of being a business owner.
Yeah.
And so I was raised in some ups and downs in business, where there was times where she was selling clothing out of a store, and there were times where she was selling clothing in the flea market, and I was there in the flea market, but you can't take that spirit out of someone. And she could have went and gotten a job, but she's like, no. And there was times where she had a job, and in the weekends she was out there selling, she was hustling. So I get a lot of that. A lot of my spirit comes from my mother. I mean, this is my favorite. So for years she had a beeper store.
A beeper
store. Yeah. Back in the day.
That's dating him.
I'm telling you, when I was in 6th and 7th grade, what a weird time. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, she had a couple beeper stores, and yeah, no, this is going back all the way to when I was 10. Yeah, for like 4 years. But people would come in to pay their bill, and the pagers, they used to have the cases, you can change them out, different color cases. And my mom would be like, Papi, go change this. And she would give me like a little Allen wrench, and the adult customers would be like, should he be doing this? And I'm like, she's
like,
like, he's fine. Taking apart cases and doing stuff on, I mean, getting to play on like computer systems, like a Tandy, like getting to play with like, typing in DIR in the command prompt and hitting enter and pulling up, games that I'm just weird experiences being the son of a business owner. I had an end of the year party in the back of one of our stores one time. I mean, just
That's awesome.
oh yeah, I had all access to AOL when it first came out because the business had internet. I was all up on MTV Tampa chat. I was all up in there. But so that's my early life getting. That's where I got the beginnings of my entrepreneurial spirit, I guess.
That explains a lot, number one. But also number two, like massive kudos to your mom. You're telling me your mom was a single woman, single mother, multiple kids, multiple businesses.
Yeah. Hustle.
Wow.
Yeah. Hustle all day. Yeah, she is. And even now, it's so funny. Even now, she still hustles. She's retired now, but she's out on property, and she's always dreamed about being out on property in the country. And now she's there, and she has, definitely a benefit. I taught her ChatGPT 2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. Now look, most people our age weren't on like messing around with AI 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And she's in her, my mom's age. She'd kill me if I say. No one knows. By the way, that's another funny thing. None of the siblings really know how old she is.
Okay, we got a bond on that because it's the same with mine.
Same thing with your mom?
Fakes her. My mom has been 36 for like 15 years.
Yep. Yes.
Whenever you ask her how old she is,
It's her like 20th anniversary of this day.
until like 2 years ago, she all of a sudden just decided. I think she jumped to 56 or 64, something like that. So she's throwing out some random number.
That's exactly how we are. We look multiple times in our group chats with my sisters. I'm like, so how old is mom again? Mom is. My wife and I just took my dad. He had a 70th birthday. I know my dad's age. We took him out, for like a big thing. And I hit up my sisters after. I'm like, yo, we got to find out when mom turns 70. Like, we better do something for her or we're going to be in trouble, So
your dad hasn't ever like spilled. I'm sure he knows.
My dad's like, yeah, my dad, well, the thing is my mom's age changed when she came from Cuba to here. That would be a whole awesome story, including her coming from Cuba. Either way. So like, we don't really know. And my mother knows that, but she knows the day, but she always
just messes with it.
She just now I don't even know why she's still doing it. We're all messed up if we have to identify her age. We're all messed up. But that kind of pushed me on the role of just doing little things for my own in business. Like my first job was, I needed money to go to the movies and we didn't have it. So I grabbed the lawnmower and I just Saturday morning, I'm like, I gotta go to work. I gotta go to the movies this evening. So I just started going up and down until I got someone to say yes. And all I just needed was one person to say yes, and it wasn't the first one. Yeah. And I was living in a place called La Ghetto, and it was so money wasn't, just open, especially from some little kid who's like, hey, I'm no experience mowing a lawn other than mine, but that's my first job. So from there it went into sales. I was in sales for a long time. Started really finding a knack into how I communicate with people. That kind of went into sales management and sales training, and sales training just kind of went into sales development and leadership development and business development and training. So that's kind of the rise. It went from my mom's entrepreneurial spirit bestowed into me, into sales, into training, into saying, okay, well, I'm coaching people every day. I'm building these sales course, these training courses every day. I'm presenting them. What I can do this for myself. Yeah. I can go back to that entrepreneurial spirit of mine. And so that's what I did. I decided to, after I climbed the ladder at one company and I was in a good position, I decided to throw all my chips in and start Aaron Bolton Leadership.
So we're going to come back to that in a second because
all right,
I want to dig into that a good bit. But you said something that resonated with me. When I was similarly, I did not come from an entrepreneurial family, but I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Right.
And I went to grad school because in my head, I needed a degree and business was a place to find other people with entrepreneurial spirit. Come to find out, no.
Right.
MBAs actually don't attract entrepreneurs. They attract people wanting to work up the corporate ladder. I
Right.
figured that out sitting in the classroom one day because I said, one of the first classes in the program, that why would I do a job? Like if I'm really good at a thing and I can, why would I do it for somebody else if I could do it for me?
Right.
And the looks I got in that room, everyone was like, what are you talking
Yeah, you are crazy
about?
cuckoo.
What are you talking about? I said, well, now to be fair, I was oversimplifying it. There are a lot of, things that play into that, like, efficiencies that you can get with working with other people, or like having certain scaffolding that you need. Some skills need other people to help.
Right. Right.
But at its core, that's the entrepreneurial spirit. Like,
Right.
is how can I get the most return from my effort?
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of people, they're just kind of content.
Right.
They're just
Which
content.
which is fine.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I had to be okay with. Not everyone has an entrepreneurial spirit. Like, it's not something that, it really isn't something that, should be looked down upon if you don't have it, or, not. And it really is, I look at it like, I will never be in the Olympics, not just because of the age, although that's not that bad. But, even if I trained in gymnastics from as early as I could possibly train in gymnastics, I would never meet to that level because I don't have a natural talent. I don't have a natural talent. Talent's a legit thing, and people have these natural ability, natural athleticism, naturally, inquisitive. Some people's mind, they're naturally strategic, and that's great. Some people have a very entrepreneurial mind, and that's just a skill, a talent that they have to see things in certain ways. So, and I think for a little bit, I was, my youth was like, why aren't more people thinking like this?
Yeah.
I would think that same way. Like, why would I do this for you? And all my efforts are getting you more money than I'm getting, when I can just do it for myself. Shouldn't everyone just do it if everyone did things for themselves, then you wouldn't be able to have a business.
Yes.
Because no one could work for you. You'd always you have a business, but you'd always be self-employed.
Yes.
You wouldn't be able to build out that business.
Yes.
So yeah, we need people who aren't so competitive. Sometimes.
Yeah, there you go.
We need people who aren't competitive to kind of put us in check sometimes.
Yeah. One of the things I tell my wife sometimes is that in a way, I'm almost captive by my ambition.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't. I was talking with one of my mentors once, and I was like, what I think that the true measure of success, how you can tell whether somebody will be very successful or not, is how hard do they work when they don't have to.
Yeah.
And like, I know for me, I think everybody has like an idea in their head for like where they want to go, a number they want to hit or something like that, or a certain size, scale, scope, impact, whatever that they want to make. For me, and I have that, I know that if tomorrow God were to snap his fingers and just bestow it on me, I would probably be like, wow, this is incredible. What's next? Like that's just how I think, which sometimes is a massive blessing.
Right.
But there are times when it's like, okay, there is value in being content too.
Right.
And sometimes I think as like, if you have a natural entrepreneurial spirit, sometimes we need to learn that.
Yeah.
Relearn it. Like, it's okay sometimes to just take a second and enjoy where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, ambition is a wild thing, right? I mean, ambition, it's what drives us, but it can also, everything needs to be in balance, right?
Yes.
Because ambition can definitely go out of balance where you're not even thinking about who you're mowing over, or or who you're offending, and that's really important. Unfortunately, there are so many successful people who they get successful either because of or in spite of, just mowing over people.
Yep.
And I'm not here to stand in anyone's way and say, oh, I can't believe, good for them for getting successful.
Yeah.
At the same time, I take a lesson from it, and try not to be, this is me talking to me. Try not to be so combative.
Yeah.
Try not to be so combative with your ambition.
Yeah. To the competitive nature you mentioned, one thing that I've thought is that if somebody is extraordinarily
Mhm.
successful in any one thing,
Mhm.
they've probably had to sacrifice other things.
Yes.
And so oftentimes
Yes.
somebody be like, oh man, like I can't believe their life. I can't believe the scope and size of their business or whatever. They must have so much money. They must be so successful, whatever.
Right.
But you may, you're seeing that part.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
seeing the rest of it. And very likely you actually well, I don't know if I say probably, very, very possibly you wouldn't actually want to trade places with them because the things they've given up are things that you might hold dear. Right. So like, that's something that I think about a lot. Like, you don't compare yourself to other people, compare yourself just to you. The goal is just to be better than you were yesterday. You doing that, you're succeeding. Like that's the whole thing. So you were saying you started Aaron Bolton Leadership.
Right. So
What was, I guess, like, tell us a little bit about your business.
Right.
And
so I was so let me preface that with kind of going on what you just said about sacrifice, right? So I started working at this software company, ConnectWise, and I went in as a entry-level salesperson, bottom of the run salesperson, and I'd already had a good sales career. This was a company that was on fire. It was growing. I had friends that were getting in, and I finally got an opportunity. It took me a year to get in. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this position because it's growing. It's growing. And it was a good position. It grew. And within 6 months, I got a promotion. Within 6 months, I started positioning myself as a sales trainer that they didn't have a sales trainer. I started making a case, and within less than 6 months, they created that position for me, and they made that. And then less than a year later, I was then over all the sales enablement and marketing enablement for for the company, and with the goal of then being the corporate trainer for the whole company, because there was only one other trainer in the whole company for like customer service, and this is already a company of, at that point, 1,000 plus. It's like there needs to be a what's it called, a corporate trainer. And I pitched that position, and I went ahead and I got that position. I built out the whole infrastructure and the systems for the internal training for the company, and I did all of that in 5 years.
wow.
So I did all of that in 5 years, right? Grew to that point, just coming in, not knowing anyone, entry level sales, and the only way you can have success like that so quickly is sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that was a lesson I had to learn. That was, I sacrificed a lot to do that, but like, I didn't spend a lot of time with my kids. It took me away from home. And in my mind, I was trying to fool myself into believing this is a good thing. This is because I'm doing this for my family. I'm fighting, I'm working, putting in all these extra hours. And but I realized I'm putting in all these extra hours. I put in all this extra time, all this extra hours and everything, and it's not even mine. It's not even mine.
Oh, yeah.
It's not. I when I tell you unhealthy work habits, I legitimately cannot tell you how many times I've worked at my desk through the night, got up, left the office at 5:30 in the morning, went home, took a shower, got dressed, came back to work. Happened multiple times. Or at the office so late, like I'd like knock out on my desk and like, oh my goodness, I got to get up. And I mean, those are things that, like, on one side, like a manager would be like, I wish I had a person that would work for me. But when you're the top of that department and you're doing it all, and things are getting done. No one really sees all that time that you put in. No one takes it. Everyone's busy in their own life. No one's looking, saying, oh, Aaron, has risen up that quickly. Why? That's because I was sacrificing so much.
Yeah.
And so I made a decision. I was like, all right, well, I'm done sacrificing all of my time for something that I'm not going to get.
Yeah.
You know, I had a couple companies before, and nothing of any crazy measure, but enough to understand that, hey, I put in my sweat equity, I'm going to get better dividends, right? And so I started Aaron Bolton Leadership. So that was it's been a lot of fun. It's been exciting. It's been exciting learning. Oh my goodness. It's been humbling. It's been humbling because I've messed up so much.
Yeah.
Like I've messed up so much, and you know, thrusting me in front of, not thrust, but me thrusting myself in front of not just, you know, one industry of training, you know, or one industry that I'm looking.
Yeah.
Now I'm jumping in different industries and meeting with their executives, meeting with their top salespeople and their management staff, and trying to figure out on the fly, how do I navigate in this industry?
Yeah.
What's the vocab? How should I, you know, sales and software and construction, completely different.
Yeah.
Both just want to get down to the bottom what's going on, but like so different avenues to get there. And so yeah, so it's been a long, it's not long, it's been a fun journey. That's what it hasn't been long. It's been a fun journey. And I say fun, kind of like fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun because there's been those downs, and what can you say about them? You learn from them. You're past them now. So the best I can say is, you know, hey, it was fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, we're gonna dig into some of those mistakes. I want to hear some of these, but
Oh, good. My fave.
well, I think you would not be an entrepreneur if you did not have a laundry list of things you've messed up. Like I've got a ridiculous insane. So, but I think to your point, like those are the lessons. Those are the things that actually teach us.
Right.
There's a book by John Maxwell. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Like
Right.
of it. But you were bringing up sacrifice, and you said a line. Why am I spending so much time building something that's not even mine?
I don't even own.
That you don't even own. That is wild how much you were putting into that. That's impressive. That's very impressive. I don't think most people have that kind of work ethic, like at all, at any point in their career. So that's like, kudos to you. That's incredible. What was the reason for doing that? Like, why were you driving so hard at that time? Because most people wouldn't do that. They might work hard, but staying all night till 5:30 just to go home and come right back again, and that being a somewhat consistent thing, that's uncommon.
Ooh, probably just unhealthy. Just, you know, well, it was unhealthy, but that drive that made, I just wanted to win.
Yeah.
I wanted to win. I mean, I wanted to win, and things I've been called in the past, like the beast. Like, I'm just gonna go beast mode on. Just give it to me. I'm gonna be. What do you want? Like, that's the phrase that I say probably most often is like, I got it. I got this. Like, I got this. I'll just go ahead. I'll do it. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out. That's also some. All right. So this actually goes into some failures. Okay. So here's some things that I heard. There are certain things that I heard when I was very young, when I was 19, very impressionable, soft, you know, the frontal lobe's not formed.
Yeah.
So like things were getting in there at this point that just kind of stayed there because it got formed around and it wouldn't go anywhere. And I heard some of these sayings from very successful entrepreneurs. And one of them was, show me something a man has done and I can prove to you that I can do it. Now that is a big statement.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the bravado of a 19-year-old kid who's like, this is true. This is true. So show me something that has been done and I can do it. That was the mindset. So I was writing big checks and I had to cash them. I had to cash them. I was writing big. So one of the things that got me that final position of like taking care of doing all the corporate training was pitching a leadership development course. It's like, we have these great managers here, but most of them have been built up from inside. So that means that all the leaders, you guys were worried about wondering why the leadership and management is stale or why it hasn't grown or why because they have no mentors. They have no one to, look up to, or they have no one's helping them to develop. And we have phenomenal resources inside this company of other executives so let's pull this together. And I pitched that and they were like, ding, ding, ding. We love it. I'm like, awesome. So on top, I did that amongst a bunch of other things, but that leadership development course, I was like, okay, I need to, I realize now I could have done something pretty simple and it would have all right, you know,
Yeah.
check the box and everyone been happy. But what I did was I went deep and I researched like the top leadership development companies out there. I went deep into like Harvard Business. I went deep into, oh man, I went into Facebook, Amazon. Amazon has a really intense leadership development. Facebook, Amazon, Google. I researched, I made phone calls and I was like, can I just get like a syllabus? Hey, from one learning development person to another, can I get, and I was like, mine's going to be better than these,
Yeah.
which is a crazy, my budget was nowhere near, you know, nowhere near, but it was amazing. It was great. I don't, hands down, like I'll still put it to this day, like phenomenal leadership development course that had, either way, I'll share it. I'll share it one day, but it was a great course, but I could only have gotten it that great if I put so much ridiculous time, like a stupid amount of time.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to win. So how do you win? You win like that. I mean, and
Yeah.
and I got really obsessive over it. That's where a lot of I got obsessive. People were trying to have input. There was a side, another department was trying to do a little side leadership development internally for there, but it was kind of fringing on my stuff, and they were, I was like, don't, and they kept calling it, they kept using the word elite, like we're gonna build elite people, and I was like, and
Excuse me?
I mean, I got nitty gritty. I was like, first of all, you cannot build an elite person. Elite is a, I was like, I pulled out like the dictionary. I was like, you can't, I was so petty, but I mean, it was obsessive. It was like, no, it has to be this way, or because I've already envisioned out from beginning to end. And if it goes this way, it's gonna be well.
Yeah.
It's gonna go well. And I already know I have to, you know, play and like dodge and move because some things are going to happen unexpected. Why am I going to let something else enter that's expected? No,
No.
you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of obsession that, I mean, if you want success, you got to put the time and the effort into it, you
That's
know?
true.
And you're going to have to sacrifice. If you want to have be successful in something, you're going to have to make sacrifices. My biggest regret is that I made the sacrifices in the wrong place. I put the sacrifices were in the wrong place. So, but correcting it,
Yeah.
and have corrected it. Yeah. Now my kids are annoyed with me. I'm always around. They know it. I asked my son the other day. I asked Nico. I was like, baby, I tell you I love you a lot. And he goes, yes. I'm always doting on him.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good though. That's good. That's good father. Kudos to you. So, okay. It must have been hard, I would think, anyway, after having put in that much time and effort building up. I mean, even just now, you were still singing the praises of this program. Like this was your baby. To walk away from it
Wasn't mine. That's what I had to realize.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, some things changed, and it was like, I need to leave in this
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
But beforehand, I made that realization. I'm like, this isn't mine. This isn't mine. And that's kind of when I started getting a little more, because it's not an overnight, you know, it's not like, oh, well, you know what, I'm done with this. That's very rash. It was over a course of a few months saying, pulling back and saying, all right, this isn't mine. I've already, actually, I'll tell you what was blaring in my face. So that it was actually on that leadership development. And it's funny that you haven't thought about this in a long time. That first run, it was a 6-month long course. It was getting praises like crazy from the executives. They loved it. They're like, let's roll it again with like no downtime. Like, let's just roll right into it. And I had 10 people in the first one, 10 people. And I was like, look, any more than that, it's going to go out of like 12 is the max. 12 is the max for something like this, as bespoke as I was making this. And the next one with no turnaround, they were like, the CEO's like, I want 20 in there. And I was like, well, there's no turnaround. Like it's right after this one happened. This one ends. This one picks back up.
Yeah.
I still have the curriculum here. I'm having to kind of mix up the curriculum on the fly. It didn't go as well. It did well. Sorry. It did well. My comparison was the one before, and it did well. And they said that when it was brought, well, why didn't we get the results from last time? I was like, well, let's just look at the differences between last time and this time. And this one right here was the biggest point, the biggest, hindrance here. So yeah, we could have done this. We could have done this better. I pivoted this way, but again, the challenges that they were explaining were directly coming from having too many people.
Yep.
Yeah, too many people. One of them was, well, why'd the budget? Why did it go out of budget? I'm like, well, you didn't give me double the budget. You know, you wanted me to do the same thing. You didn't double up the budget. You know, so it was after that second run of that project, of that training, where I was like, all right, it's not mine. It's not mine. I need to dissociate myself from this and let go. And it wasn't that, because the project wasn't mine, but the ideas and the thoughts and everything, that's all mine. That's mine, which I still have, which I still use some of that, some of the foundation of that original one. I kind of play around with. I still use that as as a foundation for others.
There you go. Let's talk about those others. So tell me about Aaron Bolton Leadership. So you left, about when did you start it?
February 28th, 27th, something like that.
Oh, like down to the day.
Yeah. I remember. I forget. It was maybe 23rd. Either way, of 2019. And yeah, it was right off the bat. It's funny how I got started was really great. Right before one of the last meetings I had at that company is I needed to bring in. We were getting training grants. And I needed to, I'm so glad you went. This actually ties in. This is perfect. So we were getting training grants in. I met with a guy in town who has this company. He builds out training grant, or he builds out the grants, gets the grants, and then he has a network. Really smart business model, but he has a network of trainers. So he hires the trainers. He gets the grant. He gets a cut of a lot. Pays the trainers. And it's a really great business model. So much that when I was meeting with him about him training, or him bringing training with the company, the 30-minute meeting went into like a 2-hour meeting, and I had his whole business plan on the whiteboard. I was like, no, tell me what you do. Like, it was very impressive. I was very impressed with him. But he said, hey, if you ever leave and you need some training, you need some gigs, you let me know.
Nice.
And the morning that my first day, unemployed, right? Which is scary, right? But I did make that decision before I started the company. It was small, but it's not like I had clients coming in and then I walked off.
Left and then started the company.
Right. And I called him and I said, hey, so you said you wanted, hey, I'm starting this business. Yeah. And he goes, oh man, that's great. Oh my goodness. When did you start? I go, today. And today, you are my first call. Amazing. And he was like, awesome. Let's get you in there. So he started connecting with some clients. From there, man, referrals. I didn't understand the power of referrals and networking. Really, I mean, look, I would love to say, man, I went there, I hit the streets, I beat the streets, and I blood, sweat, and tears. I worked referrals. I worked referrals and networking, and got, my name around. So that was very, very fortunate. But so when I called him, I said, yeah, he said, well, wait a second. Are you in good standing with the other company? I said, yeah. He said, Aaron, I've got the contract. Can you be the trainer at the, and I was like, yeah. So I returned a month later to the company.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I returned a month later to the company to do a 4-month-long training course for their managers that I was just doing.
That's hilarious.
I had just been doing, or I just set it up. I actually set it up and kind of worked with the other guy, passed it on to him, said, yeah, this is what we want our trainers to work on. And then when I met with him, he's like, let me email you my stuff. And he emailed me my stuff. I emailed him like a couple months before. I was like, okay, that worked out. So that was so my first client, my actual first client on my own, was the company that I had just been
working for.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's a very, awkward and easy step into into entrepreneurship.
That must have been kind of, I can't even imagine why.
I'm back. Yeah. I made a phone call. I was like, hey, are we cool? Are we good? And they're like, yeah. And they were very happy and excited. They were like, yeah, absolutely. We'd love you to come back in this capacity. Okay.
There you go.
Sounds great.
That's awesome.
So that was my first client getting, and then I worked with him and got some more clients. And it was through him. I was mentioning on the phone, it was through him. I've got, Perry Ellis, which is really cool. That was like early on. So they were my clients for a while, and Bausch and Lomb, and that was early on. I'm talking about like a 1 year. We're talking about all these clients happening 1 year, like 6 clients in my first year, and these aren't like one-offs.
Yeah,
these are I'm month after month I'm going back, or multiple months. So very excited about that.
Awesome.
And 1 year in, I was coming up for my like a 1 year anniversary of being in my own company. And you know what? No, I kind of, this is how my mind works. If I see, I gotta say it out or I'll forget it.
Yes.
Here's another mistake that I made early on. It's important to name your, if you're going to do some branding, which you should be doing, and you're going to have a company, you got to understand, you got to see the title of your company written out in different ways.
Oh,
You have to. And initially the company was Upskill Learning Solutions. Upskill Learning Solutions.
Okay.
Great until you put it in a website and you have 3 L's back to back, and it just looks like a mess. So that was for a little bit it was Upskill Learning Solutions until I realized I'm like, this isn't even branding me, and people are like, so many L's. So anyway, so let's go back to the year coming up, a 1 year anniversary coming up, and I got I was contacted by Bausch and Lomb to do a leadership development program for their executives in like a resort here in in Clearwater. I was like, oh, this is great. I mean, who am I? And that's what I'm thinking about. I'm like, who am I? I'm just some guy, well, kid, because I'm a kid always. I'm just some kid, right? I'm just some guy who's started this company. It was like, wow, now Bausch and Lomb wants me to present, and I presented to them. Like I gave them a presentation of what I would present on. They were happy with it, and I was like, I mean, just on the top of the world. I was excited. And a week before the training, a week before that workshop, COVID hit, and they made the announcement there could be no more than 10 people in one room at one time. And that was, I mean, I saw that, and I'm like,
How big was the conference supposed to be?
it was like 25 people, 25 executives. And I was like, oh yeah. And immediately they were like, nope. And I mean, I saw that on the news, or I saw that in my feed. And it was shortly afterwards, I remember getting a phone call. At least it was a phone call, not an email, but getting a phone call. And then that just, things have just switched up. Luckily after COVID, I was able to get back with Bausch and Lomb doing some stuff in their local, but it was never the executive leadership. Some leadership changed, but that's fine. Fun times.
Yeah.
No, but so it was doing great. COVID hit, and just like so many others, I mean, first of all, in one thing that I've learned in learning and development, that's the first budget to go when there's financial troubles. People, companies will keep the morale budget, the fun stuff, before that budget. Yeah, that budget will get cut. And I experienced that, and I learned that. Luckily, fortunately, over that year, I had built up some clients that they wanted to continue. And
Nice.
if we remember, like Zoom calls, Zoom wasn't a thing. Zoom was around. I remember I used Zoom back in 2017, but it wasn't like we know it today.
No.
And video conferencing, COVID made video conferencing a thing.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I started adopting video conferencing years before, and was like trying to push it on people. I was like, no, because it was much more beneficial to me.
Yeah.
So I had already kind of like an understanding. I had somewhat of a foundation set up to do video conferencing.
Nice.
So, and to do video training. So that's where, it was a pivot, right? So I had to pivot, and I pivoted, I think, okay. Not as great, but I think that's the entrepreneurial spirit coming back. Like, I wish I would have better. I'm trying to be nice to myself right now, because I want to be like, oh, you could have done better, Aaron. What's wrong with you? But I did okay. And I'm okay with that during COVID. And after COVID, kind of started lightening up, and people started going back to work. Some of my clients started coming back, and things worked out well.
Nice.
It worked out well.
So you mentioned pivoting. This is something I think everybody kind of recognizes, that we have to make pivots, especially as entrepreneurs. Like, there are going to be things that come at you. I don't think, though, that there is a better period in history that proves that you do not have control over everything like COVID. Like,
Right.
Almost every industry had to make. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, no one saw that coming.
Nobody saw it. Like,
Well, no.
well,
You're saying no.
I mean, okay, I didn't see that.
I didn't see it coming. Right.
You know, like, most people, like, to your point, there's no way you could have planned for that
Right.
beforehand. But yet, just by being on, like, your front foot, you'd already been prepping effectively.
Right.
So when it came, it's like, okay, I can reach into my tool bag, and I already got video conferencing. I already have a setup. I already have clients.
Right.
I can make this work.
Right.
And you did. That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah, it was fun because some of the clients that I had were construction clients as well. So technology was in a strong suit in that, and I'm thinking of a client specific. They're great, but it was the construction trainers. But the construction trainers aren't trainers by their job, by their vocation. They're construction individuals who who's really good at explaining things. So now they are training the sales people, or the construction workers, which that was a challenge, because it's like, all right, so with PowerPoint, nope. Okay, let's like one of the exercises I had them do. It was like over a couple. It was giving presentations, because they had a new role in their company where the trainers then had to do a lot more presentations in the company. So it was a train the trainer training, and one of the or the capstone, the finale was they had to have a presentation, give the presentation back to the whole class, and it was all on over Zoom. And man, God bless them. They tried. I can say most of them tried. Some of them really couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Most of them tried. But like, I had, a dude presenting on his laptop in his pickup truck, and he's like, hold on. What? They got like, all right,
It's amazing.
yeah. So those are fun. That was a lot of fun.
That's wild. Okay, so you started Aaron Bolton Leadership, or what was it? Upskill
Learning
Solutions.
Yeah.
Quickly realized that wasn't the play. Aaron Bolton Leadership. Things were going really well. Honestly, like straight out the gate, it was like a rocket. Sounds like. Then COVID hits. You make a quick pivot.
Right.
You mentioned though that now you are at a Braille company.
Right. That is it's so fun, because I get that. That's the reaction I get when, oh, where are you at? Oh, I'm Braille Works. And they go, Braille?
Yeah.
Like, this is all like that. I go, yeah, like that. Huh. Yeah, people do that. Like some companies gotta produce that, and they were one of my first clients. So they were one of my first clients, and I worked with them for like 5 years, 5 or 6 years. They were one of the first. I love them. They were the first client that said, yes, we'll switch everything during COVID to to online. I mean, they were great. They've been absolutely great to me, and I've been going back there, year after year. A couple of years ago, I started looking at, okay, where's my business going? Where's my life going? I was talking about pivot. What do I want to do? I want to continue doing what I'm doing with Aaron Bolton Leadership, but also I want to move away from where I was, and I want to move to the country. And moving to the country, I can still do what I'm doing now, but this is going to be a large transition. And it's going to a lot of moving pieces that I had no idea about, because I'd never purchased property before. I've never built on property before. I mean, we're talking about blank land, and what do you even do? So I ended up. It was right after I was a training. It was actually during the training session for this company. One of the individuals became a COO of a company, and he reached out and he said, hey, can we, do you do, one-on-one executive training? Yes, I do. And so I started training him. I'm coaching him rather on his new position. I was going really well. And one of the things that we started looking at were gaps in the company. Where are some gaps in the company that he has, that would benefit him on his side? Cause he can't run everything in the company. He's COO, but what would he need to have on his team to be more successful? And he came up with one position. He wanted a trainer. Said, yeah, I need a trainer. So, okay, you need a trainer. Tell me about this trainer. What do you? And I've known the ins and outs of their training for years at that point.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, trainer, cool. What are you looking to have accomplished? And he listed off the things that he wanted the trainer to do. which let's say is this,
Yeah.
let's say that's the level.
Yeah.
And he told me the salary and it was like here. And I said, okay. And he didn't know, but he didn't know that. He was like, yeah, this is a good price. This is a good, this is a good salary, right?
Yeah.
It was a good salary. I was like, yeah. I said, here,
But not for what he was asking for.
not for what he's needing, but because he was saying, he needs the trainings. He was saying, seeing that he needed the final product, right? And I need someone to train the final product, but who is going to develop the final product?
Yeah.
Who's going to develop the systems? Who's putting it all together? Who has the know-how to? And I said, what you're looking for this. I remember doing it. We were doing it over Zoom or Teams. I said, you're looking for this. What you're going to find out is you're going to need this, and you're going to get someone paying this, but they're going to lie to you, and their worth is really going to be here. I said, and I've seen that happen a number of times, and in a case, one specific case where that happened, and then they came back to me and said, hey, so can we, again, can we fix this? Where they wanted to go with another company, another client of mine wanted to go with another trainer. I was like, okay, not to hire them, but as a to deliver a training to their managers. I said, okay, well, I see what you're trying to accomplish. And they ended up coming back saying, hey, can we have you? Yeah, I think all of our managers are confused at this point. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. So I was telling him, I said, look, I coached him on what he should be looking for in someone to build out their whole everything. And I didn't know at the time that I was building out my job position. And because after we discussed it, he offered it to me. And it took me a while, and I had to, man, talk about swallowing ego. Like, because I've been working on my own. I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I've been working on my own. I put my effort in, and my effort gets me my returns and blah. I'm not going to, before, remember I just said, why am I going to put all this effort in and I'm not going to own anything. Well, I also grew, I also got smart, and I realized, okay, overall picture, what do I want? Okay, moving out to the country, that's my forever. Yeah. That's my till I die. Yeah. Right. That is, at least 4 more years. No, that's to my, knock on every piece of wood. Yeah. That's, 80 more years, that trumps entrepreneurship. Yeah. This is set up for the future. Yeah. Right. And that's
priority number 1.
Yeah. Priority number 1. So I had to make a sacrifice.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So the sacrifice is, okay, if I want to get this done, and look, saddest song in the world, right? I had to make a sacrifice, and and a company called me and wanted me to, that,
still, though,
I but saying it out loud, and it's like, all right, this is good. It's really good. And but the minds, and they've always been open. If I've had another client, or if I've had something to present on, they're completely open, completely cool. And what it gives me time to do is, I don't want to say this, it's not a bad way, but it's pushed me to go back to the basics of building a foundation, because I was at a point a little bit past building the foundational training, and it pushed me back down to where, okay, well, I got to do both now. I got to deliver. I got to build it. Like, I've got to build this whole thing out. Yeah. And where I thought I would be annoyed by having to go back, it's kind of like we were talking before. When you experience something in one point in your life, and then years go by and you experience again, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not.
You're
So
the same person.
I'm not the same person. So I'm now, I can tell you, I never use the same presentation anymore. Cause now I go back and I look at it, I'm like, no, I need to fix this, I need to change it. And going back to those basics where I'm like, let me just dust off my old stuff. And I looked, I was like, this is garbage. I was like, this is trash. I feel bad. People were paying me for this. No, but in my, for where I was at that point, or where I'm at now, now going or building those that foundational stuff out is so much more solid. And so I encourage anyone listening who is like kind of pulled away and backed away from doing the foundational work anymore, like, oh, well, I have other people taking care of it. Jump in, do it, impress yourself, see how much you've grown and how much better. And you have someone else doing it, which means they probably have less experience, perhaps. How much of a benefit would it be to you and them if you jump back in the gritty, you rediscovered, what you used to do before, and now you're doing it with your now new information, your new knowledge, you're building it out stronger, and now you can take that and pass it down. You had the knowledge. You can't pass down that knowledge to someone. I would do it like that without doing it.
Yes.
Sure. So so you can jump back in and then bring someone else back up.
So you said two things that I want to touch on really quick. One, you were talking about the levels. He was describing a position that might have been up here, but then salary was about here, but the person that you're going to actually get in is even lower than that.
Right.
That was so succinctly true. I've seen that happen so many times. I've made that mistake so many times.
Right.
So I was like, 100%. That
trying to get that discount. Trying to get that discount.
Yeah, and then you end up regretting doing that because you get somebody in who cannot accomplish the actual task that needs to get done.
Yep. We have a mutual friend who, Jeremy, who laughs at me, because I'm better now, but when he buys quality.
Yeah.
I always found that to be, I've always noticed that, like, he buys quality. He doesn't, and he'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And he understands and he knows why he buys quality and all that.
Yeah, we bonded over that.
Okay, very good, very good. And I've in the past, I've been somewhere like, let me just grab this and it'll get me by. Oh, this is just as good. Yeah. And I had to learn the hard way. No, no, you get that on a discount, and then look, I'll tell my wife will shop for me and she'll go to nicer places and shop. I go to Ross. I love shopping at Ross, but I had to learn that the shirt's not gonna last too long. This shirt, I'm gonna take this shirt home and the seam's gonna be a little off, but I gotta be okay with that, right?
That's great.
So you guys at Ross, dress for less.
Sponsored by Ross.
Yes.
On the quality point, I had the same exact epiphany early on in college. So got to college, didn't have a laptop, needed a laptop. I was broke, no money whatsoever. Bought this little, I don't even know, 10, maybe 8-inch, small netbook. Oh, man. Garbage computer. It could do nothing. It could barely even log in.
Right.
No memory, no capacity whatsoever. It broke within 2 months. So
what brand was it?
Dell.
It
was not good. So I'm pretty sure it was Dell. I can't remember now, actually. I remember the color, but I can't remember. I think it might have been. But it was that kind of quality, plastic.
Yeah.
And I was like, really wanted a MacBook. Well, they were expensive. I couldn't afford one. But I went and I saved up and I did it and I bought it. That MacBook lasted me 10 years. In that same window, my wife, who did not think that same way, that it was worth spending extra to go buy the nice computer, we ended up buying her a computer every year or every other year for that entire 10. She would have bought that MacBook 3 or 4 times over in that same period of time.
Right.
And so it was like, no, always pay for the quality. That if you can make it happen, it's better to have one good thing than 5 good things.
Right. And look, and also as entrepreneurs, sometimes you got to bootstrap stuff. Sometimes you got to have the understanding that, if you're going to have lower quality, it's not going to be longevity.
Yep.
Similar when I started my company, I needed a new laptop. Because I had a company issued laptop, so I needed a new laptop, and that took me, I want to say, 2 weeks to really before I pulled the trigger, because the price tag was up there.
Yeah.
Because I knew, and it was it was up there to the point where I needed to have a conversation with my wife about purchasing this laptop. And I said, look, I don't want to have to buy a laptop in 2 years and then have to transfer anything that's local somewhere. I don't want that hassle. Let me just go ahead and that was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's still
kicking.
It'll outcompete. I've upgraded the RAM once, but it is stellar. It's a killer. But you got to put that money in.
The second thing that you mentioned that I want to touch on is when you're talking about pivoting back into the workforce. There's a book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game.
Yeah.
And it's a really good book, but it's all about like changing your perspective on business.
Right.
From winning and like beating your competitor as winning to instead the perspective winning is just continuing, existing.
Right.
When you get that twisted, that you start to make bad decisions. When you're thinking, okay, no, I need to make as much money as possible. That's what winning is. That's when you start making maybe some ethical or legal or morally great choices.
Right.
But if instead you're thinking, the goal is for me to be able to continue to do this that I enjoy doing forever, then you'll make those kind of decisions, and it won't. That becomes the clear and obvious path.
Right.
So to your point.
By the way, comparison is the killer of success. That's what that quote was that I meant. I forgot earlier. That's what it was. So it's back up here, guys. Right here. Comparison is the killer of success.
You weren't kidding. That is a good quote.
That's a good one, right? Because you're constantly
You'll never be successful if you're always comparing.
You're always comparing yours.
That's great.
That was something I struggled with for a long time, and it wasn't until I stopped. No one cares what, I'm trying to become competitive. They're too busy with their own selves.
Yep.
Why would I think that they're trying to, and I don't know what's going on in their lives, what leg ups they might have or what leg ups they don't have. What am I even, that was, that when I heard that earlier, I was like, golly, that's
a good one.
That's a good one.
All right, let's pivot now and kind of start to wrap it up with mistakes.
Okay.
You've mentioned a few already.
Right.
But I'm curious, like, looking back on your entrepreneurial journey, which for you has started since you were like 6 years old.
Right.
What are, maybe 2 or 3 like key lessons that you learned that you would impart on somebody watching this who maybe hasn't had the journey or experience that you have, or that you would have been really glad if somebody told you when you were younger?
You ready? Okay. I got 3 for you. Okay. And these come from my Aaronisms. Right. So I told you about the Aaronisms. I've got certain phrases and sayings that I've said so many times in so many different, a bunch of different trainings or presentations that I just wrote them down, So one of them is frustrations only occur when expectations aren't met. Right. So you think about any time you've ever been frustrated, mad, upset, it's because something happened that you didn't think was going to happen, or nothing happened when you didn't think something was going to happen. Right. So something's happening. Your expectations are not met. You get frustrated. So keep your expectations in check and understand if you are frustrated or someone else is frustrated, it's because something happened that wasn't supposed to happen, or you didn't think was supposed to happen. So when someone else is also upset and it's from something you said, point the finger back at you and say, okay, well, what could I have done? What could I have said? How could I have communicated this differently to make sure that the expectations were set clearly?
Yeah.
So that is something that I wish I would have learned earlier, because it doesn't stop the frustration from happening, but it gives you an understanding of why the frustrations are happening.
Give you a tool to address it.
Yes. So, and look, if something keeps nagging at you in your back over and over, I don't know what that is. It's frustrating, it's upsetting, it's painful. But the second you go to the doctor and you find out what it is, now, even before it's treated, that there could be a treatment for it, that already uplifts you. Yeah. So, that's one of them. Everything in this world makes sense. Everything in this world makes sense. And if it doesn't, then you're missing information. That's the second
good one.
I don't care. And this is hard. This is hard to accept. It was hard for me to accept, but everything in the world that's happened makes sense. It makes sense. I don't care what is the most horrendous or heinous thing. It makes sense. We just don't have the information to help it make sense. I'm not saying it'll be good. Yeah. Not saying it'll be right. Yeah. Saying we miss some information. And the reason I believe that is, have you ever, we all have been in a situation where, you thought something didn't make sense. That didn't make sense. Why would they act like that? Why would they say this or do this? Yeah. And then you get one piece of information, and it's like, oh, that's happened so many times that I have to imagine that it's
universally true.
It's universally true. It's going to keep happening. And if it hasn't happened yet, then I just don't have that information.
Yeah.
So Now change your expectations, right? Link them together, change your expectations where it's okay there. I just don't have that information. I can either go search for that information, but I'm not going to be angry if I don't have that information yet, so that helps change the mindset a little bit.
I love that.
The last one I'll leave you with is, excuses only satisfy those who tell them.
Oh,
Right?
that's a banger.
Yeah. You can only put up effort or excuses. Which one are you doing? Right? Excuses only satisfy. Think about any time that you've told an excuse. You've been late. You have to tell your boss, "Oh, I was late because my kid and the train and all that." And it might be true,
Yeah.
but it's not going to satisfy the boss. It's not going to make me, "Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
I'm so happy." No, it's like, okay, you're still late.
Yeah.
You're still late. You're telling this excuse because you want them to feel a certain way. You want them to feel a certain way that you feel will alleviate the responsibility from you.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work. Excuses do not satisfy that other person you're trying to tell that to.
Yeah.
So understand, and I picked those three because those three are three that I struggled with. Struggle with excuses, not necessarily excuses like, "Oh, well, no, why sugarcoat it?" Yeah, excuses. Why not? It doesn't matter the level of excuse, but excuse. Well, why didn't I do this? Oh, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll do. Yeah, no, sorry, babe, I couldn't get to that because this isn't it. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'll make sure that excuses. They will. I learned that early, and they will block you and they will stop you from achieving. And the whole time you're saying them, you're thinking, "This is making me clean. This is cleansing me."
Yeah.
No, it's not. Yeah, everyone sees right through it.
Yeah.
That the expectations and frustrations. No one wants to be angry. And I've had to work with that, understand that, and just understanding that, oh, well, my anger, my frustration comes from a missed expectation. Okay, well, cool. Now I can find where that expectation is coming from. And how so many times things just don't make sense, and it can frustrate you, make you mad. But if you at least have a handle on it and understanding that you just don't have the information, let the information come to you. If you're not going to actively go seek it, and just be happy with it.
Yeah.
Be content with it, not happy necessarily.
Yeah. But there's some key thing there that makes it all, and it makes that equation balance out.
Right. And if you're not actively searching for that key thing, then why complain? Why upset? Yeah. Why be mad about it? If not, then, what are you going to do with the AC? I mean, come on.
Oh, we're getting it fixed. We've got AC issues in the studio. So. I think we do. He thinks we're fine. But, well, Aaron, this has been awesome. Honestly, I know I learned a lot. I'm like truly very, very glad you were on the podcast.
Well, dude, I thank you so much for having me, honestly, for having me on, for inviting me for this. The setup you have here, this whole office is amazing. It's awesome. You guys should find a way to come by and check it out. When legally, right?
Of course, legally.
But I thank you so much, man. This is, and honestly, I'll tell you right now, this right here, because I've started now kind of ramping back up, my Aaron Bolton leadership and getting,
Awesome.
Things going. And this is such an inspiration. This really is. I mean, I walked in here, I was grinning ear to ear from the whole. It's like, this is great, man. I'm so proud of you, man. I really am. And this is a huge inspiration.
Oh,
and I wish the absolute best to you and most to you, man.
I appreciate that. Well, you heard it. He's getting started back doing trainings through Aaron Bolton Leadership. Check him out. Honestly, so he mentioned the Aaronisms. He has, I don't even know how many, a couple dozen.
I've got 50, but I started counting them out of order. So I've got about 38.
He's at 38, but they're numbered up to 50.
They're numbered up to 50.
Check him out on his website. He's got some really good ones on there, just little snippets of wisdom. Thank you, Aaron, for being on, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Driven Entrepreneur Podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you enjoy content like this, sign up for our email list where you get weekly blog posts and reminders of our upcoming podcast episodes.